quite interesting, right? So it's about what is the role of the Chief Digital Officer or Head of Digital? What does that actually mean? Is there a place for that in technology or in finance technology? And I say finance technology to be a bit cheeky because it's, technology is in everything we do. And what is the percentage chance that you can find a process in a bank, a building society, in a stock exchange or anything like that where something isn't digital? And there's 0% chance, right? 0% chance. And that's because at the end of the day, money and value is digital. So every single outcome, every single journey that you have is digitally backed. So if I turn around and say I've got a head of digital or chief digital officer, essentially what you're saying is you have a head or chief of everything that I do. I'm a finance technology company, technology is the rich vein that runs through it, and you just said I'm the head of all of it. I'm accountable for everything there because essentially digital is everything we do. So the title's just far too broad. It's far too broad reaching. So I don't think there's really any place for it in finance. I actually don't think there's really any place for it in any business, any marketplace, just because everything I do, from a music store to even a fish and chip store to finance, technology is behind it, digital journeys. It's interesting because part of the thing I'm going to talk about in the debate is actually if you've got this chief digital officer and you're saying actually it's too abstract, it's too broad to be, you're responsible, accountable for everything. What actually are you, right? And it comes down to culture. It does come down to culture. If you take Barclays, RBS, right, Lloyds, HSBC, they're the original fintechs. They are the original fintechs. So how do I differentiate between Monzo, Revolut, ClearBank, Coinbase, Robinhood app? How do I actually differentiate that? And it is technology, but it's actually the culture behind it. Those particular new players are actually, I'm technology at the core, at the heart, and everything else around me is the business, is actually I'm tech first, deliver the business services or financial services second. And that's a cultural thing. And that means mindset-wise, from my investors, my shareholders, right the way down to my individual engineers, person who makes the coffee, whatever you want to say, right? They're living and breathing that particular culture. So that means Chief Digital is a cultural officer. Now, when I think again about culture, it can't be one person. It's everybody. So that title becomes again far too broad. So you can't drag an institution kicking and screaming from being finance first, technology second, into tech first and financial services second. You can't do that. That's for everybody to be involved in. So the title is again too abstract, too broad, it becomes meaningless in what we want to do. The cultural point, how do you move somebody culture like that? You have to do it from the top to the bottom, from the bottom up. Everybody needs to be bought into that culture. And that's really hard when you think you've got people. At the end of it, at the end of the day, this is an HR sort of thing, right? It's human resources. It's me as an individual, you as an individual. What are your belief systems? What are you grown up with? What's your background? Do you have a cultural background that's tech first and you've grown up with that for the last 10, 20, 30 years? Or have you grown up with a financial services background and gone through your career that way first? That's really hard to make changes in your mind. It's just so hard to do that. And everybody has to be bought in. So I haven't got the answer. I haven't got the answer apart from start again, right? That's what we were lucky enough to do at ClearBank. We started with a blank sheet of paper and said we will reimagine what clearing and clearing and agency banking services are. We'll reimagine that almost like as a tech company first, banking as a service. So we are a tech bank. I wouldn't call us tech fin because we've gone through that regulatory journey. We had that governance, we had the oversight. We are a bank. But it's the mindset, right? Technology bank, not bank tech, or anything. It's been lucky enough to take that on a journey. I would not want to be somebody who was digital change or head of change or cultural change.